What's up, guys? It's Ryan.
Hey, I'm Jesse. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel.
Here with Sticker Status, and today we're going to be giving you guys another tutorial video. We're going to be showing you how to do a hood wrap on a Jeep. Jesse's going to be taking us through it.
Good old Jeep hood wrap here. So, you know, a lot of Jeeps here in Idaho, so this is a pretty common thing. Hood wraps are one of the simplest things that you can do. Customer came in, he brought his wrap that he'd purchased on eBay. We determined that it's not the right film, so we went ahead and put together a design, Ryan did, and we were gonna go ahead and wrap this thing up with a new design for the customer, make sure we get the right film. I can provide a good warranty for the customer. At the end of the day, I want a happy customer, so we're doing the right thing by getting him the right film setup. So I'm just going through some prep right now. I've got some of my accessory pieces already taken apart, so I want to have everything completely cleaned up out of the way. I'm getting ready to do a final clean in just a second with some isopropyl alcohol. So as soon as I get done with that, we'll go over in just a second. I'm going to knifeless tape this area. We've already discussed with the customer that we're just going to do a clean knifeless tape right in this area. Make it nice and clean for the customer. Long-term durability is going to hold up super nice. Because this is just kind of an aesthetic looking deal we're putting on the top of this thing, because you can kind of notice this hood, it's not perfect on the finish. It looks like it's got a little bit of hail damage. So instead of getting a new hood for this thing, customer just wants to make it look a little cooler. So that's what we're going to do here on this guy. And stay tuned, we're going to start cleaning and prepping right now.
All right, so I'm going to show you guys real quick on my computer the design we threw together with the customer this morning. So this is the design the customer wanted. A little hard to see on the computer, but he basically just wanted a black and white wavy American flag with that sort of skull design on it. So that's what we're going with. But the possibilities with vinyl are endless. We do offer custom design services here at Sticker Status. So if you guys want anything else designed, any type of thing you want on your hood, go ahead and go to our website, stickerstatus.com, send us a request and we can get you guys something custom designed.
All right, guys, so we're gonna start off with some knifeless tape action. I've got everything clean here now. You know, if we were doing a true color change on this whole hood, you know, we would go ahead and come in here and wrap this whole hinge area. But because we're doing a full printed graphic on this, you know, customer we've talked about, we're gonna knifeless tape in there super tight. It's gonna look super clean. We won't have any issues with any of our cut lines in here being stretched or anything like that. So this will just be a clean long-term install as well. All right, so I'm gonna start my knifeless tape right here. I'm gonna come up flush right against the edge here. You know, knifeless tape, it can be a little bit tricky to work with if it's your first time. We do have another video on our YouTube channel that kind of goes into how to use knifeless tape, how to get it laid down properly, get it down straight. So I'm just going to be doing that here. So make sure you stop by and check out that video. A little bit tricky to get in this little indent here. Slowly but surely, a little patience goes a long way when you're dealing with knifeless tape. Yeah, so one of the things to kind of bring up in this situation is there are a few different types of knifeless tape out there on the market for different applications. The one that I'm using on this is called Finish Line. It leaves a nice clean cut. It's going to work out great around corners. If you needed something a little more intricate for corners and stuff, Design Line does a really great job as far as knifeless tape goes. We generally only use the 3M brand. We generally have the best luck with 3M. All of our suppliers that are local also stock 3M, so it's pretty easy to get, very reliable, works the same every single time, and all of our installers have been trained using 3M products, so at the end of the day it just makes our job a little bit easier to guarantee good results, to make a profit as a business.
All right, guys, so Jesse's got our print here. This is the one I just showed on the computer. Like Jesse said, the customer brought in a material that was off of eBay that wasn't the best for this type of application, so we went ahead and printed that for him here in-house. And like I said, if you visit our website, stickerstatus.com, and then click on the print store, you guys can order custom wraps, full wraps, hood wraps, anything like that. And then with the help of our videos, you should be able to put them on.
Yeah, so I'm gonna kind of get this laid out here real quick, just make sure I've got good coverage. You'll notice that I've got extra hanging over the side of this thing. You really do want to have a little bit for your hands to be able to pull down. You don't want to have a bunch of fingering and stretching with your material being super tight. So having a little extra definitely helps. If you order from us, we'll make sure you got a little extra as well. Just kind of getting my layout set up here, and we're going to peel the back and get started. All right, so we're going to get started laying stuff down. But before we get started, just a quick little update here. To get started, you're going to need a heat gun. When we get done, we're going to need to post heat this thing. You'll need a razor blade You know, a wrap razor blade, any one of these that you can pick up online should work fairly well for what you're trying to do if it's just a single application. You'll need a good squeegee, something maybe a little bit softer versus a hard card so you can conform over some of the angles and stuff like that. Also a nice little squeegee buffer. You'll want to swap these out when you do each hood, just so you don't get any scratching or anything like that. And that should be a bit about it to be able to get started and get this thing down. So we're gonna get rolling right now. All right, so before we get started, I'm gonna go over 2 different processes to be able to get this thing, get the backing off and be able to get it down on the actual hood itself. So there's 1 or 2 different ways, depending upon how you're set up, if you have somebody to help you. In this case, I can use magnets, and I can basically fold half the film over, trim the backing off, and then go ahead and lay one side, pull the backing off the other, and stretch the other side over. Also, but because of this is laid out in a way where I don't really have anything that's lining up perfectly square or straight, same thing with a color change hood, and I actually have some help here. I've got Ryan to be able to help. We're gonna do what's called the cowboy method, where we're gonna pull the film off the hood itself, we're gonna pull the backing off, and we're gonna set the film where we want it and stretch it all into one piece, which is called the cowboy method. It does go a little smoother if you do have some help. Not recommended to do it if you're by yourself. You get a lot of stretch on this film. Take the film over, we're going to get into position, and we're going to make it glass. Come in and move your weight back. All right, I'm going to tack a corner over here so I can start my stretch. Before Ryan sets his side, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of get this whole area set up already. I don't need a lot of heat because of the film that we're using. Get some good conformability, and then he can go ahead and pull from where I've tacked down already.
Trying to create glass.
Yeah, get this thing as glass as we can. You'll notice as I pull on this, it's wanting to stretch over and glass everything out. I've got some good stretch on this film. Make this thing go down super easy. And my last little bit right here, we're going to come up and snag this corner. And we're golden, so I'm going to start squeegeeing now.
Yeah, you guys saw how easy we were able to glass that material. You don't want to squeegee until you get all the wrinkles out, and a big factor in that is making sure you use a good quality brand material. A lot of the stuff you're going to buy off of eBay or Amazon isn't good quality wrap film, which is what ended up happening with this customer. So we printed that here. This is 3M wrap film, laminated as well. So taken care of, you're going to get 7+ years out of this wrap here.
Yep, and I'm going to start here in the middle, kind of separate half of this hood over here. I don't have any major areas that I need to go over or anything like that, so I'm just going to slowly start squeegeeing left to right. I'm overlapping every time that I squeegee here, so I have nice and even lay down here, so I'm not creating any air channels.
Imagine you're mowing the lawn, overlapping strokes.
You can see some of the material getting pushed out, so I'm just getting it close to the edge here. You'll notice though I'm getting really close to this hinge that's going to be in my way here in a second, so I'm going to get my film kind of glassed out, and then what I'm going to actually do now, since I'm really close to this, is I'm going to create a bit of a U-channel around it and kind of seal it off from everything else, so I can just kind of go around everything. And then I'm just going to start working in just a little bit. I don't want to go in too far because I want to relieve this tension on the film here in just a second. But I'm just going to get that out of the way for now. Continue to squeegee down. Get everything laid down, and I can come back to that in just a minute once I know I've got the field all the way down. It's important to make sure that you do use a new squeegee buffer as you're doing this, otherwise this process right here will create scratching. You know, in most cases you can get them out with your heat gun on the laminate, but it's best to be able to get it down super smooth and clean. You don't have those issues because it creates more work on the back end. Again, as I mentioned before, all the proper tools for this. If you do need a wrap kit, let us know. Jump onto our website. We'll have a wrap kit up there for you. We can get it shipped out so you have all the proper tools to be able to get started and get the ball rolling. And notice I'm just kind of still glassing everything as I get over to the edge. I'm just putting a little bit of tension down here. Make sure we don't get any wrinkling going on. All right, so before I move to the other side, I'm just gonna go ahead and release this out real quick. So I'm gonna start from this side here. Notice how I'm pushing my blade up, so I'm not gonna be cutting any paint. I'm just gonna kind of release this down just a little bit. Get up into the hinge off of this area here. And then I can feel the area that I'm trying to trim into. I'm trying to get up into this area, so I'm just gonna take this up a little farther. Keeping my blade off the paint. And then I'm also going to work kind of like a little V shape so I can get up, start working my way up to the corner and get this relieved out so there's no stretch. I don't want to be stretching this into place so that way it's not going to fail on me long term. That gets me pretty close. I've got everything relieved out. Everything's picked up off the hinge, so you'll notice as I come in with my squeegee here, I can just kind of work this all around. Up to the front. I'm not stretching anything into place here, so we don't have to worry about anything failing on us. No tension at all. And then before I start working this, what I'm going to do is start at the corner. Anytime you've got areas that need to be worked in, you're going to want to start with the corner. I got one little extra thing that you may want to think about for your kit is a little wrap glove. And what that does is it turns your finger into a squeegee. Basically acts as a buffer for your finger. And so I'm going to slowly work this in. I just need to relieve these corners just a tiny bit more. Let me find out how far I need to go. Right about there. Right about there. And then now you'll see the material just kind of fold its way down into place. And I'm not even stretching it at all either. Just kind of picking it up a little bit, letting it work down into place there. And then my last little bit, well, I'm super close to be right on my knifeless tape. I'm going to start right at the corner. Notice there's no stretch, it just folds right into place just perfectly right there. Before I go on to the straight part, I'm also going to work this next corner real quick. It folds right down into place, super nice, no stretch, no tension. I'll start working my flat areas now. And right, you can show them that little area. I can see the knifeless tape, I'm nice and clean, everything's tight, and I got no stretch. So this is going to last long term. And I'm just going to keep working my way around. Material folding right down where it's supposed to go. Because I had planned it this way, and we're all set there. One more little tuck around this side. And there we are, I'm all the way in, ready to pull my knifeless tape, and I'll show you that as soon as I'm done squeegeeing. All right guys, so I got a little bit of a lay in here that I need to stretch down. It's got a couple holes that need to be cut out. So I'm gonna just hit it with a little heat just to soften it down. I'll start on the high side and just kind of slowly work it with my finger, just little by little, so I don't create a little bubble in there. No tension, everything's nice and smooth and even. And then I'm just gonna kind of work this down with my finger, back and forth. Get all that out of there, and then you can see the two little holes that are there. I'll go ahead and take my knife and just lightly trim these things out. I don't want to be cutting any paint, so I'm just going to kind of lightly drag my blade, making sure I'm using a nice new blade on this thing. And that should get me pretty good right there. One little small hole here, and then I can go ahead and bolt this thing back together and get the latch back on this. So that's good to go, and I'll trim that here in just a second. A couple more holes on top. I've already cut these guys out, but I'm just basically going to flush trim these things out of here. Super easy. And then we will go ahead and snap everything back into place that needs to go back in. as soon as we're done post heating. All right, so now that I've got everything tucked in here, well, I'm gonna go ahead and pull my knifeless tape. I've got it set up here. I got my string pulled. I'm gonna give it a little bit of a yank. As soon as I get to my film, I'm gonna kind of cover it with my finger, give it another yank, with this nice and even tension all the way down. Work this corner around. All the way over to the other side. That's gonna go ahead and cut my film for me. Pull it out of the way. When I'm all finished, I'll pull the actual knifeless tape leftovers out of the way here too. And you'll notice I'll have a nice super clean cut line all the way around this thing. Makes it look like I cut it perfectly with a blade, but I did not. I'm gonna take my squeegee, just tuck that last little bit down. Right here, right there, right into my corners there. There's no tension here, so none of this is gonna lift back, and I have a nice perfect edge line right here. And this is gonna work long-term durability, no problem. So I've got everything squeegeed down, so I'm gonna start the trim process. Just like any other area where you tuck in on corners and things like that, you're gonna wanna start on your corners and work into your flat areas. So you can see I've just done a first little trim on this guy. Really the key process to get these corners, these 90-degree corners nice and neat, is when I'm laying the film, I kind of give it a little bit of a stretch before I get to the corner, and then I'll heat this up with a heat gun and allow it to shrink in, so that way the film is about 90% on the far side of the corner, but it's not stretched into place, it's been shrunk into place. So before you cut everything, you just trim the tip of your corner on the bottom side, and this is what it should look like before you get started. My corner's already tight and ready to rock, so now I'm just gonna start folding this under, and I have a nice proper corner that's gonna last me for the duration of this film. I'm gonna go ahead and leave myself just a little bit to flip over onto the side here. I'm gonna use the edge of my blade to run right across. See the housing of my blade? I'm running right onto the actual hood, so I have a nice perfectly straight cut here. That will allow me to fold it under. There is another method where you can lift up the hood. You can fold the film underneath it and trim it in place. But I like doing this method because I'm never cutting on the paint of the vehicle. And I have a nice perfect edge to take right underneath it. Right here I just have a nice little flap, so when I lift up the hood, I'm wrapped around my edge and it's nice and perfect, and I didn't have to trim on the paint. Yeah, if you're in the middle of trimming and you've got some wrinkling going on while your blade is trimming, it's definitely time to swap your blade out. I mean, kind of a good rule of thumb is when you're trimming like this, you know, 5 to 8 feet of material is about as far as you're going to be able to trim before your blade's going to start to get a little bit dull. You definitely don't want to be trimming with a dull blade, because you will get unexpected results from the film. See right here, I'm starting to get a little jagged edge right there. That lets me know my blade is done. I'll swap out to another one. You'll notice as soon as I start cutting, I'm back to a clean cut again. So definitely listen to what your blade's telling you, and listen to what the material tells you. And there that is, and so once I pick up the hood, we'll be all finished. All right, we're gonna go and lift up the hood. We'll go ahead and do our final tuck. Notice I had a little space here underneath the hood. Give me some working room here. So now that I have this all done, I'm basically just gonna work this film in with my finger. You'll notice where I'm tucking this film down in here, there's a little bit of there's a line in here, there's a body line, and I'm basically, you'll notice how I've pre-trimmed, so that folds right up into that body line. So this thing's gonna hold up perfectly long term. And once again, before you start your long areas, start at your corner and then start working your way over. Sometimes a little bit of heat to let this relax helps out a little bit. Let me grab my heat gun. You'll notice there's a little bit of slight wrinkling going on here beforehand. So I'm gonna just clean that up with some heat right here. I'll pull this back. That'll let the material relax so I can work it into place. We're just doing a little post-heat action. I'm going to go ahead and get this up to about 190 degrees. That's going to bond the adhesive onto the onto the vehicle itself, and it'll be a permanent install from there. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and post-heat the rest of this area here. This is a really important step that a lot of shops do forget, which you can tell by the reviews if there's issues with material. Post-heating your material is definitely your best step, and is required by the manufacturer as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this up to 190 degrees. It's also gonna get rid of any micro scratching that might be left by from my squeegee. The laminate on top of here is gonna go ahead and self-heal, and it's gonna be a perfect install by the time I get done. All right, so as I'm going through, I'm also paying attention to make sure I don't have any little small bubbles that I might have left behind. And if you do, as you're post-heating, you'll see it kind of expand, because heat will expand inside of that bubble. Let it cool off for a minute, then come back and just work it down with your finger and then post-heat it again. If you try to work out that bubble and it's hot, you're gonna cause yourself a whole bunch of issues. It's probably gonna wrinkle up, so let it cool off and then come back and go ahead and mess with it. All right, we're gonna snap these guys back into place here. Got our little rubber stoppers on.
And guys, comment below what other type of tutorial videos you want to see. I mean, we do everything here from stuff like that to making stickers. We do full body wraps. This BMW right here was gloss black. Now we wrapped it completely satin black. It's almost done. We also do paint protection film and ceramic coating. So this is a brand new M2. It's getting a full body paint protection film, so he's completely protected. So let us know in the comments what other kind of videos you guys want to see, and we'll make sure to get them posted.
All right, so we got everything's done. I got it all put back together. Final step before delivering to the customer. Quick little wipe down. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of any fingerprints or anything on it. It's gonna add a little bit of a shine. This is our Americana Global detail spray from Ceramic Pro. You can get this if you're a Ceramic Pro Elite dealer or a standard dealer. It's a great product. It adds a little bit of shine, small amount of protection as well, and it's definitely better than any kind of wax that you would put on your film. Just a quick final before you hand it to the customer. Nice and clean, a little bit of protection and some high gloss shine to it. I'm gonna go ahead and spray this a little bit on my rag here and go ahead and wipe it all down, and I'll be pretty well finished up. So if you want to bottle this stuff, let us know. I can get some bottles shipped out to you. Great product, works good on any surface, adds a little protection, a little bit of shine on there, super cost effective, and the end result looks great. And finished product is ready to go for the customer. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe, check out our other social medias as well, and we'll see you on the next one.